Eala puts the Philippines on the tennis world map. 20 years young and all, Eala has ascended to the world's echelon of stars on her way to establishing a queendom at home as the Philippine tennis best. The Filipina sensation from the east to the west left an indelible mark, netting a bevy of firsts one after another in a relentless drive, from start to finish, to finally put the Philippines on the world map, via an unpopular home sport at that. Name it. A string of wins against a former and reigning major champions, a maiden title, a Grand Slam qualification feat paired with a main draw win, and a top 50 ranking for the first time ever for the Philippines. Eala had it all in a historic 2025 before saving her best for last with a gold medal in the Southeast Asian Games. Eala, who settled for 3 bronze medals in her debut in Hanoi in 2022, added 2 more bronze mints in the women's team with Steffi Aludo, Alexa Milliam, Teniel Midis, and Shara Rivera, as well as in the mixed doubles with Nino Alcantara. And that's the sweet cherry on top of her banner year. Eala started to make giant strides in March after a series of quick exits in the WTA Tour in Europe, the US, Africa, and Asia by essaying a Cinderella run at the Miami Open, a WTA 1000 tourney, as the biggest tennis event next to the majors. Then ranked number 140 as wildcard, unseeded, and had to go through the qualifiers, Eala slayed 3 former Grand Slam and top 25 players to barge into the Final Four, becoming the first ever Filipina WTA semifinalist in history. She fell short against home bet Jessica Pegula, 6-7, 7-5, 3-6, but caught the eyes, and especially the hearts, of the tennis world, including its avid fanbase, after stunning 5-time major winner Iga Swiatek, world number 2, of Poland, 2017 French Open champion Yelena Ostapenko, world number 25, of Latvia, and 2025 Australian Open champion Madison Keys, world number 5, of the United States. Eala was the first Filipino to do it, again, and this time, joined the world's elite list as well. She's only the 3rd wild card to reach the last 4 in Miami, following former world number 1 Justine Henin in 2010 and Victoria Azarenka in 2018 from their extended breaks. Moreover, Eala became only the 2nd wild card to slay 3 or more Grand Slam champions in a single tour level event after Alina Svitolina at Wimbledon 2023. That run for the ages catapulted Eala to the Titans' lane, entering number 75 of the WTA rankings to qualify in all the main draws of Grand Slams, like the US Open, Wimbledon, and French Open, after a qualifying exit in the Australian Open when she was just at the top 150 threshold to start the year. She also took home her biggest purse from Florida with $332,160, or over P19 million. And there was no stopping the Filipina juggernaut from there, both in her attempt to scale the world rankings and the confidence to duke it out against the best and more grizzled foes in the WTA Tour playoffs, one after another. By June, Eala scored another first, a WTA Tour Finals appearance in Eastbourne, England, following a tough 3-setter defeat to Australia's Maya Joint, 4-6, 6-1, 6-10-7. Then came her homecoming in New York, 3 years after being the first Filipina junior Grand Slam champion, where she blazed another trail by becoming the first Filipina to play and win in any Grand Slam main draw. She beat world number 15 Clara Tauson of Denmark, 6-3, 2-6, 7-6, 13-11, but bowed to Spain's Cristina Buxa in the 2nd round, 6-4, 6-3. From semis to finals and finally, a championship, Eala did it in September at the WTA 125 Guadalajara in Mexico with a 1-6, 7-5, 6-3 comeback win against Hungary's Punna Udvardy to also become the first Filipina WTA Tour champion ever. As if she's in for a celebratory ride, Eala cruised to an Asian trip in China, Japan, Hong Kong, and Macau leading up to her national team return that ultimately paid off by delivering the golds that mattered in the SEA Games. The riveting storybook year propelled Eala to the number 50 ranking at the end of the WTA season, a first once again for Philippine tennis that's about to start 2026 with a bang, with the hosting of the Philippine Women's Open as part of the WTA Tour on January 26th to 31st. All thanks to Ms. Eala's inspiration to the Philippine Tennis Association and the Philippine Sports Commission to bid. If the stars align depending on Ms. Eala's campaign in the Australian Open set on January 12th to February 1st in Melbourne, Ms. Eala is poised to play in her first home game ever after traveling around the world. And that's another chapter to open for Ms. Eala in a fast skyrocketing career with an ultimate goal of winning a Grand Slam and becoming the world's #1 player down the road. I have always been a big dreamer. To win Grand Slams has always been one of the end goals. To become #1 has always been one of the end goals. Being Ms. Eala on the WTA website. John Brian Yolande. For a long time, the Philippines watched the world of tennis from a distance. The grand stadiums, the roaring crowds, and the legends with rackets in hand felt like scenes from another universe. One dominated by countries with deep tennis traditions and endless resources. Yet, quietly and steadily, a young Filipina began to redraw that map. Her name is Eala, and with every swing of her racket, she has carried a nation into conversations it was rarely part of before. Eala's story is not just about winning matches, it is about possibility. Born in a country where basketball courts outnumber tennis courts by a wide margin, she chose a sport that few Filipinos seriously considered as a pathway to global recognition. Tennis in the Philippines has long existed on the margins, played in private clubs, followed by a small community, and rarely featured in national headlines. But Eala's rise challenged this reality. She did not wait for the system to be perfect. Instead, she worked within what she had and reached outward to where her dreams could grow. From a young age, Eala showed discipline that set her apart. While many children her age were discovering hobbies, she was already committing to hours of training, repetition, and refinement. Tennis is a sport that demands patience. Points are earned shot by shot, matches can last hours, and progress often comes in quiet increments. Eala embraced this grind. Each forehand, backhand, and serve became part of a larger purpose, to compete with the best in the world, not just represent her country in name. Her journey took her far from home, notably to international training environments where the level of competition was relentless. There, she was no longer simply a promising Filipino player. She was one among many hungry young athletes from tennis powerhouses. This could have been intimidating, but instead it sharpened her edge, competing against players who had grown up immersed in tennis culture.